this is a podcast all about Bears. You either cheering for this team or just pulling your hair. I like to take a minute, just sit right back and tell you how I became the #1 Bears fan.
That boy is Benny Hunter.
Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Before I get the episode started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. Before I discuss yesterday's huge Chicago Bears win over the Detroit Lions, I first want to tell you guys about CBDX and giving them a huge shout out for sponsoring this episode of Keek on the Mic. If you are into CBD gummies, CBD flour, reusable vape pens, all the good stuff, go to cbdx.com, use my promo code KOTM to get 20% off your order. I actually got to try out some of their gummies, and they work wonders. They calm me down after a stressful Bears game, so I think you guys will love them as well. Make sure you go to cbdx.com, use my promo code KOTM to get 20% off your order. So, the Chicago Bears bounced back to beat the Detroit Lions 24-14 yesterday. And like I mentioned before going into this game, I expected this. I expected the Bears to bounce back, especially on the offensive side of the football. I'm happy to see the adjustments by the offensive line, the offensive coaches. Obviously, Matt Nagy made it very clear that Bill Lazor did call the plays, which was a much-needed change. Now, what I want to see is, will Matt Nagy actually allow Bill Lazor to keep calling plays, or will his ego get in the way once again, and will he actually take back play calling? It's very obvious when Matt Nagy's not calling the plays because we have two tight end sets. We're doing max protections. We're doing tosses. The pocket was clean. There was only one sack given up yesterday. So you can just tell when Matt Nagy is not calling the plays. And obviously it is the Lions, but it was good to see the offense production. Obviously we're still 1-8 on third down, so we need to clean that up. But it was nice to see the offense as a whole playing hard, and it was nice to see Justin Fields actually developing a little bit, right? So, like I said, I expected this to happen. I knew the Bears would play hard, and the offense played very, very well. Going over some stats of yesterday's game, obviously Justin Fields went 11 for 17 for 209 yards. Obviously, he had that interception off the tip pass, but 5 of those throws, he had 5 throws of 20-plus yards, and each throw was an absolute dime. Obviously, he had a couple to Allen Robinson, a couple to Darnell Mooney, which Darnell Mooney had an outstanding day. Darnell Mooney had 5 catches for 125 yards. Allen Robinson had 3 for 63. But the big story of the day, and I kept pushing for this. I kept saying this on past podcasts, that the Bears need to run the football, and Bill Lazor did exactly that. David Montgomery had 23 rushes for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Damian Williams, 8 rushes, 55 yards, and a touchdown. So Bill Lazor made it a focus to run the football, which that should always be the game plan. You have one of the better running backs in the NFL, and David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery needs 20-plus carries a game. I think that's how the offense will get going. Obviously, Bill Lazor, like I mentioned, did a lot of 2 tight end sets. It was max protection for Justin Fields. And look what happens. When Justin Fields has time, he's able to find those open receivers downfield for those big plays. Yes, it was the Lions. I expected them to do this, but it was good that the Bears offensive coaches and the offense as a whole made those adjustments to actually see some offensive production. So, obviously, the big story of that game was at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. David Montgomery had a gruesome knee injury. At the moment, they said they believe that he has dodged ACL tear, so that is really good news. I'm anticipating that he will probably miss a couple of games, which is a big blow coming as we're going into this tough 4-game stretch. But It's a really good sign that he dodged an ACL injury. Obviously, Akeem Hicks, after the first play, he left the game. I believe it was a groin injury. Not sure what his status is going to be going into that Las Vegas Raiders game. And then obviously, Damian Williams had a quad at the end of the game. So right now, our running backs are kind of banged up. We'll see what happens as we go through this week. But it was a good sign that our offensive line blocked well. Obviously, Justin Fields was seeing the field really, really well, having some really, really good throws. Had a really good day. Besides that pick, obviously, it was a tipped pass, but it was a really good day for the offense. Obviously, the defensive side of the ball, once again, creating a lot of turnovers. The Lions were in our red zone probably like 4 different drives, and the defense was able to bend but don't break, have that bend but don't break mentality. We're able to create some turnovers. And that's a really good sign. That means our defense is still flying around. Obviously, big shout out. So once again, Robert Quinn, that is putting the league on notice. And his production has been outstanding along with Khalil Mack. Obviously, Robert Quinn had that forced fumble. Khalil Mack had a sack, and of course, Roquan Smith had a sack, and even Travis Gibson had a sack as well. The one thing I can say about this Chicago Bears defense is that the fourth quarter has been a real struggle for them, meaning that they need to clean it up. Most of the points that were given up come into the fourth quarter, so they're having trouble finishing games. The first 3 quarters are really, really good. They're creating those turnovers, getting to the quarterback, and wreaking havoc on opposing offenses, right? But when we get into that fourth quarter, especially when it's like 10 minutes left, so it's like still early in the fourth quarter, but we're just trying to end the game. We have a good lead. We're just trying to end the game. They've been struggling with finishing games. So I would really like to see Sean Desai, this defense, and more looking at the secondary, clean up those basically botched coverages where they don't even realize what they're doing at moments, right? It looks like they're out there just lost. So just blown coverages, especially in the fourth quarter. Hopefully Sean Desai cleans that up as we are going into a very tough 4-game stretch. So my analysis of this game is very simple. I think Matt Nagy needs to let Bill Lazor continue to call plays. Obviously, Bill Lazor had a really good game plan for Justin Fields, and it worked. So now the question is, will Matt Nagy and his ego allow Bill Lazor to continue to calling the plays? And like I said, it is the Lions, and the Lions do play tough. Kudos to the Lions for trying to make that little comeback at the end. But we are going into a stretch against very good opponents, starting with the Raiders. Then we have the Packers at home, and then we got the Bucs on the road, and then we are going to be hosting the San Francisco 49ers. All very good teams. I think it's in the Bears' best interest, and I know Matt Nagy keeps bringing up Andy Dalton is our number 1. Forget that. I think our best chance to win is with Justin Fields and with Bill Lazor as the caller. The game plan should be simple. Should be very similar to what we did against the Lions. We need to run the football. Even if we don't have David Montgomery, we still need to try to establish the run. Yes, losing David Montgomery would be a huge blow, but we still need to try to establish the run. Keep doing those 2 tight end sets. Maybe get our tight ends more involved in the offense. I think the tight ends had one attempt thrown their way the whole game. So they're really using our tight ends as blockers, but we need to get them more involved in the offense. So run the football, keep using those tight end sets, max protection, give Justin Fields time, and you see what he does. I think that's a very good recipe for success for this Chicago Bears team. I think we have very good running backs. Obviously, if David Montgomery is out, that would suck. But overall, that is how an offense should look. Obviously, clean up the third downs. They went 1-8 on third downs. Clean that up, and I think we have a recipe for success. I'm interested to see how this 4-game stretch goes. This is going to determine our season. If we can come out of this 4-game stretch 2-2, 3-1 for some reason, and we get some big wins, that would be huge for not only the confidence, but, seeing where this team is actually at. So overall, it was a good win against the Lions. Like I said, I expected it. A win is a win. Am I excited about a win? Yes, because it's my team. But it still doesn't prove where we are at. We were supposed to beat the Lions, but now I want to see what you can do against a good Raiders team, a good Bucs team, a good Packers team, and a good 49ers team. If they can prove that to me and win some of these games, maybe my opinion even on Matt Nagy may change. But like always, comment down below and let me know how you guys are feeling about yesterday's big win against the Detroit Lions. And what are you expecting during this tough 4-game stretch for the Chicago Bears? I would love to hear from you. But before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media channels, and make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. And don't forget to go to cbdx.com, use my promo code KOTM to get 20% off your order. But other than that, I'll be back for an all-new Bears video right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.